And welcome back to the great and wonderful reflection project that everybody loves. Ladies and gentlemen, we're in the second installment of the reflection project for drawing or intro to art. This is a wonderful project where you're learning how light reflects off concave surfaces and how to draw and paint those using a mixed media. This step is going to be using colored pencils. So you're still going to be layering color over top of color. You're going to use different media prior, and that media, it will be colored pencils. If you find another mixed media that you want to use, by all means use this, but this is the one that I like to use. You are going to be layering colored pencils on top of each other to create dark shadows, midtones, and highlights, and copying the color spectrum on the photo as best as you can. So as always, enjoy. Alright everyone, I got my colored pencils out. I am ready to go. I got the large set today because it has a larger variety of different tones and textures. And I'm going with the magenta to start off with. And I'll get closer so you can see what I'm doing. You can see that I'm not pressing hard right away from this distance. That I'm going light and dark in other areas. So you gotta think about the pressure you're using. You're gonna want to use like little U's, like I said in the previous video, as I did with the watercolor. You're gonna do here to get those curves of the clouds, get the texture of the clouds, and you want to soften them up by lightly doing little circles of coloring, like I told you before, to get that shading going in. See, I'm getting in real close. You can see how I'm using the magenta. Now this magenta is wonderful because it's like a warm light purple, but it will darken the purples as well as lighten the color, giving it a kind of what we call mood. And you can see here that I'm shadowing certain spots. So I got more pressure I'm applying down to get the texture of the clouds. You can see here I'm kind of going circles. I'm not coloring everything over top. Some areas are a little bit lighter than others, but it's making all those colors blend well together and making it pop, giving it a nice warm feeling. You can see here I'm just adding to what I already have. I'm not over coloring. You're gonna have probably a tendency to over color a little bit, especially when it comes to clouds, because you see the color and you want to apply it, and you might apply too much. Apply a little, take a break, look at it. If you still think it needs more, apply a little bit more. It's always easier to add than it is to take away. So you can see here I'm using orange, and I'll be blending the orange over top of the yellow. It gives it that nice gradation, it makes the colors pop, and you can see how it's firming up what I've already done with the other coloring with the watercolor. You're getting more form to the clouds. You're getting more texture to the clouds just by adding colored pencil over top and shading those areas to give that dark spots in the clouds, and to blend it and soften it up by lightly coloring over top of it and helping it get that form. Form that you probably should have learned on how to shading techniques with the first sketchbook assignment. So I'm going to let you watch this and see kind of how my strokes are. I don't want to speed it up too fast, otherwise you're not going to be able to see this. It's a little fast in the speed, but I think it's slow enough that you can kind of see what I'm doing with how much pressure I'm applying, plus then how I'm softening it up after I kind of darken it in and put little spots of dark shadow in there. I'm letting the painting beneath it bleed through so all the colors are working together. another important part that I think I should elaborate on. So now I'm softening up some of my oranges with the yellow. I'm using the same colors spectrum that I used prior and accentuating them. So now I'm just softening up areas, doing a nice transition with the yellow. And now I am going in and I'm fine-tuning the reflection of the trees in the glass. I didn't do this with the watercolor brush because it needs to be real small. So I'm going back in with black, darkening up around there, around where I'm putting the colored pencil, so I have that nice transition. And I'm going to go around with black around the glass so that the glass can have more definition, so we'll know what we're looking at. Notice that my line isn't too thick. It's a nice accent that helps it pop out, I guess, with the bright sky, and I'm getting just the form of the glass. Notice that I'm using calligraphic line as well, so where the glass should be shadowed on the inside of the corners are darker, and then it gets lighter to the far part of the rim. So, and then I'm just going to use that black a little bit more and darken up some of that texture in the clouds, so that I'm using the color throughout the piece. Whenever you use a color, you don't want to use it in one area. You want it throughout the piece, otherwise you won't have unity. Your eye will go to where that one color is, and that's all anybody's going to see. So you want to make sure they view the whole piece, so make sure you put color throughout the piece.